I'm your host, Link the Boss.
And I'm your host, Blam the General.
Yeah, baby, what time is it?
It's time for 2 MCs in the Mic Podcast.
I said, what time is it?
It's time for 2 MCs in the Mic Podcast.
You the below, right? Underground where we are, right? If you keep it the buck and I keep it the buck, then we all gonna be alright. Cause we want the ball, right? The money, the bitches and all, right? The figures, the digits, the exquisite visits to all of the different shows, right?
I was still want more. Private jets to Caribbean shores. Girls in bikini, champagne grapes on my feed me. Smoking that lettuce for sure. Brr. Penthouse on the beach, champagne spilling hot tub where we reach.
You're in tune to the 2 MCs in the Mic Podcast with your host, Link the Boss, Blam the General.
It's that boss life, that boss life. It's that boss life, that boss life. We live that boss life, yeah. My enemies nigga, we gon' make it. They don't give it, we gon' take it. We stacking this money, no time to fake it. We working so hard to be the greatest. It's that boss life, that boss life. It's that boss life, that boss life. We live that boss life, yeah. I'm always at my best when I'm under pressure. Take advantage of investments, money molester. It can easily get tragic, too drastic to measure. So ask me if I let you have it, nothing less.
Hey, this is where it all started at, as far as me jumping off the porch and touching my first dollars in the game. It was all weed at that time. Like I said, I used to stand against that wall right there, man, and that wall would be filled up with 200 students on any given day. Everybody skipping school, everybody cutting class, everybody shooting dice, just doing whatever. It was a motherfucking show out here. It was a zoo out here. And this is 7 Mile right here, and this is where one of the major neighborhood gangs hung out at, 7 Mile. And it was always a beef between 7 Mile and 6 Mile. And like I say, I stayed in between. I was a half a mile away from 6 Mile and a half a mile away from 7 Mile. So it was never really me fitting in on either side, which is why I've always been a loner to a degree. You know, I've always ran my own operation. I've always had my own workers. I've always had my own ideas. And like I say, once I got down to Indiana and started taking my guys down there, we were so advanced with street knowledge, with street culture. And in Indiana, they was like years behind. I was perhaps one of the youngest guys down there getting money in 80, 88, 89. And the money accumulated so fast, and the lifestyle I was able to live was just like unbelievable, man. I mean, I know for a fact I had 10 to 12 women at any given time, and they knew about each other. They didn't all agree with it, they didn't all like it, but they knew Terrell was gonna do what the fuck he was gonna do, how he wanted to do it. Either you was rolling with me or you wasn't. Like I said, my whole mind, or my whole thought process was get money. That was it. I had goals and dreams of being a rich cat, so I didn't compromise that for nothing to nobody. So as I say, in the midst of everything going good, having what I wanted as far as material shit was concerned, I ended up catching a murder charge in Indiana. As soon as that happened, I immediately went on the run. me and one of my partners. And went from state to state, trying to stay free of the law, still trying to get money though. That's all I knew was get money. The catching come before the hanging. So I think I stayed on the run for maybe about 6 months, and ended up coming back to Detroit. They was tracking me. They eventually caught up with me in my mother's house. Got locked up here in Detroit first. From there, they extradited me back. But let me back up. When I got locked up in Detroit, I was facing so much time in Indiana that the court systems here found it feasible to just give me 2 to 5 years probation and ship me off to Indiana to deal with the more serious charges. So when I got to Indiana, in my heart, I think I had accepted that I was about to go do 20, 30 years. And I quickly, calculated, shit, I'm just sitting 20. I come back home at least by 40, and life could still be great. Because it was at that time, man, when I really decided to make a transition, because I seen what the fuck I was facing. I seen the course that my life was really taking, and it really wasn't no turning back. When you get in the game, you get so deep in it, it becomes your whole existence. You can't see nothing outside of it. You can't see life apart from it. But when the minute you get locked up, that cold ass reality dying on you. This could be the rest of your motherfucking natural life. And I think one of the guys that was involved in the homicide, the guy that got killed, he was a drug dealer at the time, and he had some juice in the city. So I just knew it was gonna be a lot of confrontation once I got to the county jail down there. So when I came in the county and they put me on the block, I could recall immediately going into the center of the floor, slamming my bag down, my mattress down in the middle of the floor, and I just was like, shit, any motherfucker got a problem with me, let's get it over with now. And to my surprise, 2 guys from Detroit that got locked up while I was doing my thing, they was on the block. And I was like, nigga, shut that whole ass shit up, whoop-de-whoop. They came out, and I clicked up with my guys from Detroit that was in the county jail. So things had it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be in the county. But once again, I'm facing the first plea bargain they brought me was for 107 years. And of course, I'm not signing no fucking 107-year plea bargain. And once again, I ain't gonna go into all the details of how I was blessed to get out of that case, but I will say one of my partners that was with me, that was involved in the crime, he copped out. He pled guilty to the charge, and he took a 30-year sentence. And once again, man, the thing that saved me each and every time is I've never made a statement in my fucking life, and I've been arrested on numerous occasions. But the one thing I understood from the beginning was you had a right to remain silent. It ain't your motherfucking place to prove your innocence. It's their place to prove your guilt. And if you keep your fucking mouth shut, 9 times out of 10, you fare a better chance anyway it go. So, long story short, didn't nobody tell the truth in the situation, and I never made a statement. So after everybody done played their cards, it was easy for me to sit back and do the motions of discovery and see what each individual was saying that took place, and the shit just didn't add up. So all I had to do was tell a story that added up. So I told the best motherfucking story, and it added up. And it added up in my favor. So they went from a 107-year plea bargain to an 8-year do 4. I had already been locked up a year. And I quickly took that motherfucking plea bargain My attorney tried to convince me that we should go to trial because he could beat it at trial, but I know I had a hand in it, so I'm not getting ready to play with my life no further. So I took the 4 years, the 8 years due 4, and I'll end up going on to the penitentiary. And when I got to the penitentiary, I couldn't adjust. There was no way I could adjust. Each day, every day, my only thought was, how the fuck am I gonna get up out of here? How I'm gonna escape? Because they had me like in a medium security prison, and the only thing that separated me from the highway was a motherfucking gate. And I had never did no time, so I ain't know nothing about sitting on your motherfucking bunk and raise your hand if you gotta piss and all this, all this petty shit. And I just couldn't adjust to the situation. So eventually I lost all my good time and they shipped me to a higher security prison, Westville Correctional Facility. And when I got there, that institution was wide open. It was predominantly black staff. And they brought in the liquor, they brought in the weed, shit, they even brought in crack and heroin at times. And the female guards, they was even allowing niggas to trick on them, If you had $100, you can get 5 minutes in the motherfucking mop room with them. Not to say that I partook of any of those activities, but at any rate, it was a wild school at that point in time. It had a lot of Chicago influence, Gary, Indiana, and a lot of those guys, they wasn't looking for a change of culture, a change of life. They was just bitten, just doing time and trying to make the best of it. So it was a lot of gang activity. It was a lot of violence. If you was Caucasian, it was just not the place for you to be. I had literally witnessed Caucasian boys getting brutalized, man, on a day-to-day basis. And then, the brothers got it too when you got out of line. Me, myself, I had one close call where a guy wanted me to join a gang, and I had never been a part of a gang, and I always felt I was strong enough to stand on my own. And the tension kept mounting, and he kept fucking with me, and we ended up squaring off. And once again, by the grace of God, a guy that I didn't even know this cat knew me and my family in Indiana. It was probably about 6 guys had me surrounded, and I'm ready to square off with one guy, but I know I'm about to get down with all 6 of them. And I know, the probability of me winning is slim to motherfucking none. But this guy came out, broke through the crowd, man. He had a motherfucking sword this long. And he said, back up. If you motherfuckers want to fight him one-on-one. So I ended up squabbling with one of them, and I came out on top on that. And from that moment, that gang shit, it kind of like backed up off of me. And I ended up having another incident with racism in the institution. And long story short, I set a white boy on fire down in Westville. And, I didn't set him on fire, I set the bed on fire while he was in the motherfucker. And from that point, they shipped me out of there to a maximum security prison. They shipped me to Pendleton. And when I got to Pendleton, that's when the shit got real. Because you was locked in a cell 24 hours a day, and everybody you was dealing with, everybody in that motherfucking prison was serving 40 years to life or better. And I'm sitting here, and before they sent me, the sergeant called me into his little office, and he was like, man, what is your fucking problem? You had a simple 8-4, you done did 2 years of it, you got 2 motherfucking years ago, and we can ready to charge you with attempted murder. But the first thing we doing is we shipping your ass up out of here in the morning, and you going to Pendleton, and if you get a write-up within the first 6 months, then we gonna put these charges on you. So when I got down there, the first night, man, was the worst night of my life, man. To hear these cats screaming, hollering all fucking night. It was just a fucking jungle for real. And the thought that everybody here is doing damn near life bit, 40 years, 20 years, and I'm here just because I couldn't adjust or adapt my behavior. And from that point, from that time, I started making a change. I ran to an old neighborhood friend. He was more so like an uncle, and he started, putting some knowledge on my head, telling me the changes I need to make and how to adjust to prison culture. And I say within 8 months, man, I got me a routine together, which allowed me to look further into my future. Because just like how you get caught up in the streets, you can get caught up into prison culture, and you can forget that you got family on the outside that love you and care about you. You can forget that you're going home one day, and you keep practicing the same behavior that got you there, and you find yourself there longer and longer. But like I say, God has always allowed the right people to come into my life at the right time. So this guy started giving me a few books to read, and I had to become disciplined enough to read them. And then I started having a different perspective on me. I was able to look at me. I became my own best friend in that prison cell. You can lie to everybody else in the world, man, but you can't continuously lie to your motherfucking self. At some point in time, when you serving 24 hours of a day in a prison cell, you got to look at yourself in the mirror. And then from that point, you start trying to understand why you've done what you've done. How did it lead up? How did your life take the turn it took? Because like I say, I didn't come from a drug culture. I didn't come from a gang violence. I didn't come from any of that. I came from a good middle-class family who was striving to give me a better life, but I made poor decisions because of the environment that I was being brought up in, And for all men, we all get to a certain age and we all want to be a part of something. That's just human nature. And when you can't find anything productive to be a part of, you'll just start accepting to be a part of anything that's loud. So that's why you got so many guys that will join gangs, get into this, get into that, because they just trying to be a part of something, man. And for me, it was rolling, because rolling presented all the opportunities to have what the fuck you want. As a youngster, I was taught, go to school, get a good education so you can get a good job, which equated to getting good money. But common sense told me, shit, the good money is right here. Fuck the education. Fuck going to school, get the money. So I got the money. So during that time, as I neared my first prison sentence, I kind of got my ideas together, my plans and my goals together. And the woman I ended up marrying came back into my life in my last year, where she tried to be there from the beginning, but I was facing so much time, I pushed her away. I had to push everything, family and everything. It got to a point, man, where my mother and my family would have to call the chaplain to make me call home, because I didn't want to be caught up between two realities. I wanted to serve my time, be the best I could be, and get the fuck on. And that's what I did. I ended up serving 5 years of a 4-year sentence. I did an extra year. Okay, so after that, I came home. I had got a barber's license, got me a trade while I was in the institution. I came home at maybe 25, 26, and I was with the love of my life at that time. And she had applied herself. We had a barbershop, beauty salon, and, like I say, the street money, I had turned my back on that to a degree. What up, Ron? All right. So I turned my back on that, and I tried to go the straight and narrow. But it was just a matter of time before I started getting that craving for large money again. So, true to the game, guys that I knew from the past started coming through the barbershop and, you know, started having them old conversations. And it was just a matter of time before I was back in the game. And I had made a determination that I was gonna snatch me up $5,000 or $10,000 real quick and be done. Well, that $5,000 or $10,000 came a lot quicker than I expected. So that gave me the incentive to say, fuck it, let me get 20, 25. That came faster than the 5 came. So before I know it, I'm at $150,000 and life is good at the time. I got a wife, I got a business, I got money accumulating. I got 7 females living in one apartment. And it got to the point where I had 7 women living in one apartment and all they wanted was to be a part of something. They went and worked spots day and night. They was never short on a dime of the money. I didn't have no guys working for me. And eventually I allowed one motherfucking guy to come into my circle and work for me. And he fucked up some money. So I had to take him out of his position and put him into a house. And as he sat in that house, he allowed a detective to come in there and he served the detective and he got caught the fuck up right then and there. And within an hour, he told them people that he worked for me, told them where I lived at, what I was driving, where I was going next. And he called to have me deliver some work on the same day I was retiring. So my glory story started and ended the day I retired, man.
It's that boss life, that boss life. It's that boss life, that boss life. We live that boss life. Yeah. By any means, nigga, we gon' make it. They don't give it, we gon' take it. We stacking this money, no time to fake it. We working so hard to be the greatest. It's that boss life, that boss life. It's that boss life, that boss life. We live that boss life. Yeah. I'm always at my best when I'm under pressure. Take advantage of investments, money molester. It can easily get tragic, too drastic to measure. So ask me if I let you have it, nothing less. That's what I'm saying, though. Can't even put you on game